Pastor Ballard.
Please do.
I shall.
All right, and we should be good to go. All right. Eric Garner had just broken up a fight. Ezell Ford was walking in his neighborhood. Tamir Rice was playing in a park. Walter Scott was going to an auto parts store. Betty Jones answered the door to let Chicago police officers in to help her neighbor upstairs, who had called 911 to resolve a domestic dispute. Philando Castile was driving home from dinner with his girlfriend. Botham Jean was eating ice cream in his living room in Dallas, Texas. Eric Reason was pulling into a parking spot at a local chicken and fish shop. Breonna Taylor was asleep in her bed, and George Floyd was at a grocery store. What do all of these people have in common? They were all killed by police officers, by white police officers, and they were all African American people. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Self-Checkout. I am glad to have each of you joining us tonight. Thank you for joining us. And usually I am, you all know me, I'm chipper, I'm cheerful, I'm all those things just about all the time. But tonight I don't have the exact same joy that I normally have due to what's happening in our world, in our country, in our state, in the city of Chicago. I am bothered. And tonight is a special episode, people, because I do have with me the 29th year Deputy District Chief of the Chicago Police Department. Fire Department, I'm sorry, Chicago Fire Department. My friend and my sister, Carmelita Earls. Welcome to Self-Checkout, Carmelita.
Thank you very much, Brother Taylor. Glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here. How's things going with you?
You know, things are going well. You know, every day that God gives us an opportunity to make a difference, we do that.
Absolutely. Those of you who are watching, if you will be so kind to go ahead and share this video, because everybody really needs to see this one. Thank you, Rosalind. I see you on. Hello. Thank you for joining. Please share this video. So, you know, I usually do a top choice question where we ask, you know, a little fun stuff. I'm not doing that tonight because I'm just not. I read off a list of names, and all of these people, Carmelita, are African or were African Americans, and they are no more because they were killed at the hands of Caucasian police officers. Let's just dive right into it, because you are the Deputy District Chief of the Chicago Fire Department. You're out there every day. You're out there all the time, every day for years and years. 29. This is your 29th year.
Correct.
How did we get here?
How did we get here? We got here because we don't respect life, Brother Taylor.
Yeah.
And we've been desensitized to accept something other than what we've been ordained to have. That's how we got here. Whether we tend to tolerate those things. And when you tolerate things, you can't change it.
Yes.
And you'll never change those things you tolerate. How did we get here? We're in the city of Chicago right now, and we've gone through a lot of our own. You read off a lot of people that have died at the hands of police action. And when you say here, are we talking about the current situation in Chicago with the uprising, the protesting that has gone into
Yes.
aggressiveness? We got here because we have channeled our hurt, we have channeled our anger through acting out, and instead of activism. That's why we're here.
So
that's my take on why we're here.
So in the case that we have now, obviously, our nation is, I don't even know like the right word to describe it, the right adjective. But I am 45 years old. I've seen a lot of things, but Carmelita, I have never, and I'm like, even talking to you about it, I'm tearing up right now again. I've never seen anything like this. This is Tuesday, so that means that Sunday night, as I lay watching the news, I literally cried myself to sleep. I cried, I prayed, I'm watching. And yesterday, I'm watching and I cried and I prayed, because every one of us should feel the effects of what's happening in our communities. I'm not here to talk about whether the officer murdered Floyd or not, because we all saw the video. We know what happened. 8 minutes, 49 seconds. And so here we are, our country is protesting, and I'm okay with protesting. Are you allowed as district deputy chief to protest?
I'm a citizen first. And what I do in this uniform is what the city pays me for. What I do out of this uniform is what God expects of me. I'm an activist. I get paid to protect life and property. I'm a woman of faith. I'm soon to get paid for what I do to change humanity. So by all means, I've been out there, and I've been out there in a peaceful setting to allow people to understand that it's their First Amendment right to have protected activism. You know, you have a right to assemble, you have a right to speak, you have a right to petition the government. But however, what we must understand is in a peaceful manner, therefore you ensure the safety and the security of the public. When you take away from that First Amendment right to an aggressive manner of turning into what you despise, meaning people that are not just, then the dialogue changes. And that's where we are right now. We're not necessarily, we're not demanding justice, we're being unjust. And that is where hopefully the conversation will reach the public and let them know that, you know what, if you see an injustice, no more than someone killing someone else, the police treating us other than how they have taken the oath to serve and protect, we're just as wrong when we engage in such activities. And again, as I just stated, we don't want to turn into that which we despise. And I feel the hurt, I see the hurt, I'm hurt myself, and I'm shaking my head like, Dr. King, good Lord, this was not the dream. And we fell asleep, Brother Taylor, because we thought we were on the right path. No, the struggle continues, and it continues through activism.
The struggle continues. You said that, good evening, Rosalind. Thank you for joining us. You said that the struggle continues and that this is not the dream. This is not what Dr. King had in mind. And yeah, you're right. I did feel like we were on the right track with a few bumps here and there. For example, the Sandra Bland case, and so many of the other names that I read introducing the show tonight. So one thing is clear uh, in the eyes of majority of African Americans is that racism is yet alive. And
Without a doubt.
yeah, for sure. And we can't really, we don't have a place. I don't think you can tell me. I don't think we have a place to put the blame because it's been centuries where it's been this way. But in present time, with what's happening right now, can we, in your professional opinion, can we blame our president for any of this stuff that's happening?
You know what? We can blame the president. We can blame a lot of people, but we first have to accept the responsibility and blame ourselves. And the reason I say that is because a lot of us, even in my profession, we tend to get comfortable. You can't grow in your comfort zone and you can't make changes. You know, in 2008, the nation received a serious blessing of hope, and that was in then Senator Barack Obama, who basically said three words: "Yes, I can." And we got on the bandwagon. We got off of ourselves, and we went out here like never before. We voted, and we began making a change in our own little setting. Well, you know, he's one person. And what he did was he epitomized that us, you as one person, me as one person, can start in our homes, branch out to our neighborhoods, and link into our communities. If you look at the word community, Brother Taylor, you will see that the last part of that is unity. We are not unified, first of all. And anything that is not unified, you tend to have gaps where things can creep in. Now, let's go back to the situation of Brother George Floyd. You know, racism, hateism, sexism, cronyism, favoritism, it's all isms. Christianity that were clickisms, and that we have so much blame that we could just, is it going to be one component? No, it's a compilation of things. We can look in our own communities for once. My mind is in a lot of different places, so you may have to reel me back. You know, I'm full right now. I can look at the faith-based situation. I can look at, you know, you and I went to the same church at one point or another.
Yes.
And in that particular setting, we were taught to be our brother's keeper. In that particular setting, we were taught to serve God's purpose and not our own. There are more African American in positions now than it was when Dr. King was alive, and we are yet less productive. So, to your question, where does the blame lie? The blame lies with us for being complacent. The blame lies to think that, okay, we're better than we were. Well, no, we're not where we should be. So that being stated, do we have to say, well, you know what is it that I could do to make it better? Did I create the situation? No, but can I make it better? Absolutely. How can I make it better? I can go out here when I see my young brothers with their pants hanging down. I can find out what's on their mind and give them an alternative, give them what do you call it? Give them an example that they don't see. You know, I'll tell you a quick story. I took a group of kids down to Lincoln Park Zoo because it was free on Tuesdays. The bus company gave me one of their buses, and I took all the kids that wanted to go. When we got off the Eisenhower and we got to Lakeshore Drive, one young boy who was about 10 years old, he just bursted out in amazement. He went, wow, it must have took them a gazillion years to put all that water in there. I was driving the bus, so I couldn't necessarily look at him, but I heard his comment. So when I got off, and when we got off on Lakeshore Drive, I asked him, I says, you've never been downtown? That's where the blame lies. This young man is 20 minutes from downtown.
Yeah. His
first school bus ride, and he looks at Lake Michigan, and he thinks it took a gazillion years to put it there. Where does the blame lie? can rest with us because the parents spend more on their body than in their head. It gives them a sense of misunderstanding or misrepresentation as to what they could be. You know, good Lord, that's what all the looting alludes to, no pun intended. Kids think that it's about the fashion, it's about having something new. No, it's about realizing that you're here for not just today, but you're here to plan your life to be a contributing factor to society. So the blame is we're missing the mark as a community. That village it took for you and me.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
we're not being the village for the next generation. We're not passing that on. That kid that I talked about, the 10-year-old, his father was maybe 15 years older than him. His grandmother was maybe 15 years older than his father. So what's that indicative of? It's indicative of 3 generations sitting in a house that still does not come out of their confinements of their neighborhood. So what they see here is what they figure is that's all to life. So what can we do? We can open our minds and have a sense of expectation. And on that note, I'm gonna tell you something. I read the other day and it blew my mind. Are you aware that we have $3 trillion at our disposal?
I am not.
Black communities are the economic engine to the tune of 3 trillion with a T annually. So
Wow.
what does that mean? That means, yes, wow. Say that backwards, it's still wow. $3 trillion. That means we shop with everybody, and that money we operating at what's called a trade deficit. When you go to a shop and it's not Black owned, it goes right out of your community. So where is your tax base for the community? It does not stay here. Where is your employment for the community? It's not necessarily here. We're living in food deserts. We can look at the politicians who have basically given business license to everybody but us. If you look at Madison Street, I live on the west side, born and raised, I'm still here. Madison Street, the majority of the shop owners are not African-American owned businesses.
They're not.
They couldn't get those businesses if they did not necessarily petition the aldermen. Some of the aldermen, and I won't call this name, Ed Smith, Jason Irving, I won't call their name. They basically give the license to someone who can contribute to their campaign funds and their lobbyists for whatever their mission is. That's a problem. That is an absolute problem because the mom and pop stores, if you remember when we were children, Brother Willie, we took our nickel to the penny store. We got our cookies, we got our whatever. We spent $1. That dollar changed hands 3-4 times before it left the community.
Before it left, yeah.
The mom and pop stores bought their goods from another African-American business. What's the significance of that? That means that money went to a Black family. That money fed a Black family. That money paid bills for a Black family, and it circulated within the Black family. Now take this from a broader perspective. $3 trillion annually? Man, please.
Yeah.
You want to talk about changing conditions? You want to talk about not necessarily being in the situation that we're on? I heard Warren Buffett make a comment. He said that rich people talk about ideas that make money. He said middle class people talk about events that they too can make money, but poor people talk about people.
Wow.
What does that mean? That means we need to change our mindset. And it starts, what this conversation is right now, it's about changing our mindset, not going out here waiting for something to happen, but to create it. You know, we've been taught to strike while the iron is hot. No. The new way is to strike till the iron gets hot. Until you basically create a momentum to change the situation and create what's needed.
Momentum. Ken Whitfield says that this reminds him of the riot of 1968. He was 6 years old and he literally watched Madison Street burn all the way down. Christine Mitchell says, in relation to your story about the 10-year-old, she says the same thing happened on a field trip with her daughter Paige when she was in the 3rd grade.
Yes.
Those children had never been out of their neighborhoods, and it made her sad. Wow.
And let's speak to that for a second. Why is that? I grew up in a 1-parent home. My dad left my mom with 8 children to go chase a skirt. My mother came from the South, and she went and took whatever was needed to put food on the table. But one thing she gave us, unlike what's happening now, my mother shared her man with me. Her man was God.
Yeah.
Women are now sharing their man with their daughters, but it's a different type of man. We have to get back to the basics, Brother Willie, and that is to love thy neighbor as we love ourselves. That is to get back to the word. You know, it's I find it interesting. I don't want to turn this into a Bible class, but 2 Chronicles 7:14 is real simple.
Absolutely.
He said, if my people. So since we've been talking about everything except God, he has found a way to return his people back to him. And if we don't get this lesson, whether it was Malcolm in Dr. King in 68 or George Floyd in 2020, we're going to learn this lesson again if we don't get it. It's the same nonsense that we have basically found a sense of complacency, and we're back to the table talking about the same thing. Well, the question here is, what are you prepared to do about it? Remember, Sean, what are you prepared to do about it? Sean Connery asked Kevin Costner in The Untouchables when he wanted Al Capone. He could taste it. He was salivating, just as you and I have emotions about the George Floyd situation. Yeah. He asked him, although he was shot and he was bleeding, and he says, get the bookkeeper. And he asked him, what are you prepared to do? Because Sean Connery knew that Kevin Costner's way of doing things by the book was not necessarily the way to go. I'm not saying break any laws, but sometimes, as the word of God said, you got to take it by force. Yeah. What is force? So what are you prepared to do to get here? It's not about sitting asking anymore. It's about demanding what's rightfully yours.
Absolutely. Thank you all for joining. Good evening to Denise Dunn. Good evening, Tiffany, Latangi, Tangi. I just call you Tangi. Toya, good evening, everybody. Please share this video. Yolanda, thank you for joining us. So, yeah, if my people, 2 Chronicles 7:14, I saw a young lady who is a very young activist. She may be 30, maybe. She said something on Facebook in relation to what's happening, and she said, where are the pastors? Why are not more pastors speaking out about this injustice? What do you say to that?
Where are the pastors? This is 2020. The churches have, some of them, this is not an all-inclusive comment. Mm-hmm. Some of the churches have started serving the man of God instead of the God in the man.
Oh boy. And
when you serve the man of God and not the God in the man or woman, then you tend to lose focus. Because any ministry that is not God-given or God-centered or God-based will basically be reactive. God talks to his people. We can't necessarily put it on the pastors. We can't put it on the police, and we can't put it all on ourselves. This is a systemic issue. And unfortunately, we're the pastors in us. We all have a calling. We all have a ministry. But for whatever reasons, we don't necessarily walk in that vision and in that destiny. Whereas it's easier to look to someone else and say, well, it should be your job. No, no, no. It should not. It should be all of our jobs. So where are the pastors? Maybe the pastors will come when the people demand such, just as we're going to demand the rightful justice in society. Hey, did you call your pastor and tell him to meet you on the corner to pray? I posted something on my Facebook page about 4 days ago, and I said, since the videos started at 8:08 in the evening, every day at 8:08 for 8 minutes and 48, you say 49, but 8 minutes, 48, 49 seconds, we should be praying. The last 2 minutes and 43 seconds, the first time I did this, it blew my mind. We should lay prostrate with our face on the ground, just as Brother George's life left his body the last 2 minutes and 43 seconds of a video. His body was limp. If we just submit and pray and ask God to give us the guidance that we need, God, what is it you have us to do? What is it that we should be doing here? He will give you that peace, whereas the anger can be channeled into something that's not necessarily destructive, but it will be productive. So we're the pastors. Let's show them what it should be like. You don't need a pastoralship. You don't need a ministry to do something. You just need a heart. You just need a heart and a love for God's people.
Absolutely. So as I was watching, this was Sunday afternoon, as I was watching on the news how people were destroying the city. Specifically, I saw a Facebook Live of a young man who was on Madison and Pulaski. And I also, of course, they were looting and doing what they were doing. I also saw there were more than 40 police officers in the middle of that intersection, and they were doing nothing. And I was told that they were given an order not to engage with those people. Let them do whatever they were going to do. You would know if that's true or not. Well, is that true? To your knowledge?
I do not work for the police department, so therefore
I know that.
Say what orders they were given. But what I can tell you from a strategic standpoint, that would have been the right thing to do. And let me tell you why. Because there's so much technology out here. The looters don't understand that the cameras is catching everything, catching license plates, catching facial recognition, have access to your Facebook, so they'll have an opportunity to come back and get you later. The only thing the police officers were there to do is to keep a certain level of protection for the public. Imagine had they engaged one group. I'm sure it was not enough of them to contain everybody. Absolutely. They were probably oversized and outnumbered 7-1. So if you had 20 police officers in the intersection, I guarantee you 7 times 20, it was more than 140 people on the street. So that's a lose-lose situation there, because they were looting at that particular point. Those same officers may have had to engage something else that was to protect the life of someone else. And had they tied themselves up with someone that's taking some merchandise, it would have escalated into something that we didn't need. So that being stated, you were talking about damaging the properties. Unfortunately, we have to look at this because we still live in the neighborhood. I like to ask these young people, where are you going to shop for food? We're already in a food desert. I have to go to Oak Park or Forest Park to get food because we have none here in the 28th Ward. It has been a food desert since Moanoink left. You're talking about fresh meat, fresh produce. This is one reason why we are 81% susceptible to die from COVID, because we have pre-existing conditions. All of that is systemic, brother. If you can't get fresh vegetables, I see kids, their breakfast is basically some potato chips and cookies. That's a bad thing. That's a setup for diabetes. So that's why we're having the situations we're having. When I tell you it's all systemic, this is, unfortunately, I would like to call it like a branch. If you look at a tree, you have to understand the roots that's underground. You have to also understand, did I lose you?
No, you're here.
Sorry about that. You have to also understand the trunk that the tree sits on. What we're looking at right now is the leaf product. These deaths are the leaf product. This is what you can see. What you can't see is what's happening underground. What you cannot understand is why the trunk is so big, why it's been standing like this for so long. You know, so unless we get to the hidden issues, and the hidden issues are why you and I are not in the uniforms to make sure that we are the comparative to the people that have the bad hearts. You know, I can tell you out of 29 years of serving the public, there's been some times that I didn't make all the right decisions. There are some times where my flesh got in the way. The elderly and children still bother me. I started drinking on this job because stress is something that if you don't have something to balance that with, you'll start acting like you never was designed to act. A lot of the police officers are hurting. They go home, there's some substance issues, there's some mental health issues. And don't just think because we're wearing this uniform that we're all that in a bag of chips. We're not. We're human. We have marital issues, we have children issues, we have health issues, but we're still coming to work trying to serve the public. If I could ask the young people one question, what is your contribution to society? You know, back in the day, a lot of people realized that their life was not for themselves, but it was for the betterment of society. We need to get back to that part of the focus. And if we can get to that focus, and don't get me wrong, I'm only going to give this disclaimer once. I'm not justifying anything. But what I'm saying is, what have we done to contribute or take away from the current state that we're in? When our parents came here, are your parents from the South?
Yes.
When they came here, they were hungry because they came from nothing. They came from nothing, but they had a 4-letter word called hope.
Hope.
They knew that if they were just given the opportunity, they would change their conditions. Well, this is an opportunity that we should be taking advantage of, not allowing the non-stakeholders, meaning the people that have bad things on their mind, to take away from the dialogue. This is a time for us to come together as you are doing right now and having a dialogue as to how can we protect the next George Floyd from happening.
Yes.
Dr. King is 68, George Floyd today, which is the same thing. People are being killed and assassinated. Why? What are we doing that's changing? And that's the conversation that we need to think about. What are we doing?
Wow. My pastors are on. Thank you, apostles. And they say thank you, Carmelita, for explaining the possible law enforcement strategy. And they do agree that with the hidden issues that you spoke of, that those of you that wear the uniform have. And I want to ask you, because I mentioned the police, and of course I have to, ladies and gentlemen, she does not work for the police department, she works for the fire department, okay? But in this situation with the protesting and the rioting and the looting, are you all still only called for fires?
No, let me tell you, and I wrote that down. That's an excellent question. So let me go there. Let me give you the statistics of what has happened in these last 3 days.
Yes.
I just left the OEMC Center. I had a duty there for 12 hours. And what blew my mind that a commissioner just shared on the press conference that the mayor gave maybe I think it was about maybe two hours ago. In the last 3 days, we have had over 130 fires.
Get out in 3 days. In the city alone.
3 days. Over 130 fires. The city of Chicago police and fire departments have responded to 65,000 calls. 65,000 911 calls. We have, unfortunately, 699 people that did not go to the table for whatever reasons have been arrested. 699. Now, let's stick a pin in that for a second. There's 699 people that have put themselves in the hands of what created the situation. Does that make sense?
It does not.
For whatever reasons. Does that make sense?
It doesn't make
sense.
Now,
what we have to understand is that, and you can do your fact checking, there are disruptors that have been sent to this city to incite what could have been peaceful, incite destruction. Now that I will send back to your president, because I put nothing, they're already known to be part of the white supremacist group. And they have been charged. One gentleman, and you'll see his picture, I don't know his name, but you'll see his picture on the news. They have charged him with a federal offense for possession of explosives. What's up with that?
Wow.
Now, a lot of people have mingled with us, various colors, white, brown, straight, in different, it does not matter, black, white, female, male, come to you and thinking that they have your back and that they're a part of what your mission is and they can feel your pain and yada, yada, yada. And then all of a sudden get you to do something that you had no intentions of doing. People don't go to peaceful rallies with bats. People don't go to peaceful rallies and protests with hammers. People don't go to peaceful rallies with a gun. That's not what we should be doing here, because there's 671 firefighters that have died in the line of duty. When I left out the fire, I've been at work for 36 hours. When I left out of the house on Monday, I had a certain expectation to come home to my family. Thank God I came. But 671 firefighters did not make it back. The police officers' numbers, I'm sorry, I do not have. But X amount of them did not make it back home to their families. It is truly unfair and criminal for anyone to take something such as a life of someone who's put a uniform on and freely give our lives, if we have to save the public. So for that, I say all to my brothers and sisters, stop the nonsense, because no one in this uniform that comes to work is a part of what created the situation. Are we all 100% true and blue to our model? No. Just like in whatever profession you may be in, there's always some people that are not for the agenda. But I want the violence to stop. I want the destruction to stop, because you're hurting people that have put their sweat, their tears, and their hard-earned money in it. You look at George Music Store, George, the liquor store. This man has been in our community for decades. He has helped more people than anyone that I know of on this west side. And then you do what? You go and shoot his business down? Really? Really? That's one reason we're in a food desert, because most people don't want to come into the community because it's too much of a high risk. And we have to change that narrative, brother. We got to change it.
We need to change it. Yeah. Joy, Laredo, she says that the numbers that you gave are astounding, and they are unbelievable. As you were talking, I had to put those numbers in the thread because that was just simply unbelievable. My pastors also would like to thank you for your service to the city, and we all do. We all appreciate you. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Sharina, for joining in. Guys, we're halfway done. If you can just share this video, that would be amazing. So the CFD, you have been, as I stated to you before we even came on live, you're out there every day. To your knowledge, with all of the anger, with all of the unrest, do you see people that are angry with you because you're in a uniform? Do they equate you with the police? Because now it's like everybody's mad with the police everywhere because of what happened. Do they couple the fire department with the police department and take their anger out on you guys as well?
Well, what I will answer that is this. We've had bricks thrown through the fire trucks. We've had bricks thrown through our buggies, because some of them are unmarked buggies and people think they could be the police. But what I want the people to understand is this: when they hear a siren, people are coming to help, not destroying. For the most part, the city of Chicago loves the fire department. When they call us, they know that we're coming to save them in one form or another. Unfortunately, the police get a bad rap because when they're called, somebody's going to jail. That's the bottom line. And I would say 95% of the Chicago Police Department, I work with them. There's some good-hearted people, but you got the 5%, just like you have the 5% in the protests, the 5% in the rallies. You have people that are hurting. And as the mayor said today in her address, hurting people hurt people, but healed people heal people. Yeah. And if we can just realize that, you know what, they don't know me. I can't take it personal. I can't take it personal. I've been called various things that you won't find on my birth certificate, but it's because they're lashing out, similar to what's happening on the street. People are hurt, and they're channeling their hurt through anger, and they're acting out because, unfortunately, when a kid throws a temper tantrum, they just want attention. I'm not minimizing this, but the attention is on the George Floyd, the Rakita Boyd, the 16 shots, the lady you talked about on Superior. All of these things, it is just basically crying out for help. So how are we going to help each other during this crisis? Because we all feel it. We all feel it. We all feel it. So how are we going to help it? You know, just tonight, I can tell you that there is a, I found out that there is a plan that the gangs are targeting certain ethnicities. So people of color, stay in the house. That's all I can tell you. Stay in the house. The police knows about it. 26th Street is closed. There's a certain boundary that I'm going to ask you not to cross tonight, not to cross tomorrow, not to cross the day after, because just like you have emotions, other people have them too. And for whatever reasons, their motives are definitely not pure at all. But you know, I want to talk about one thing. Yeah. Elon Musk. Are you familiar with Elon Musk? Elon Musk.
The spaceship.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
SpaceX. 46 years old. He has built 3 multi-billion-dollar companies in 46 years. Why am I going to talk about him? I talk about him because for 15 years, he had a vision in his heart, and his work ethic depict where he knew he wanted to be. Over 100 hours weekly, didn't take breaks, multitask by eating and answering emails and being on the phone, things of that nature, and meetings and responding to emails and you name it. Mm-hmm. Why am I bringing him up? I'm bringing him up because he talks about, can you turn this light on for me? Thank you. Because he talks about a changing of the mindset. The renewing of the mind, the Bible tells us about it, thank you, all the time. So it's time for us to take this opportunity to renew our minds across the board. Remember, I talked about earlier, poor people talk about people. Middle class people talk about the things that others have made money on and they emulate it. But rich people think outside of the box and realize there is no box. They go create those things they believe. When I ran for alderman of the 28th ward, I didn't believe what I saw. I didn't see what I didn't believe what I see. My phrase is, don't believe what you see what you believe.
Yeah.
And that's what Musk did. And we must, M-U-S-T, see what we believe. We believe a better life for African Americans. We believe that we should be the head and not the tail. We sit here, we paid our tithes, and we talk about those things that God has for us, but we don't go get it. We don't go get it. We sit back waiting for it. You got to take it. The word of God tells us to take it by force. We got to go get it. It said, fret not thyself of evildoers, and be not envious of workers of iniquities, for in what? In due season, they'll be shut down and cut down. Well, you know what? It's that time. It's that time. It's past time. But we want to sit and go, Lord, bring us somebody. You are that somebody. You're that advocate. It's in you. You feel it. All this that we're feeling right now, it means absolutely nothing if you don't put it into action. I'll close by saying this. There was 3 men in a boat. They were fishing. One decided to jump out and swim the shore because they hadn't caught none. He was aggravated. He goes, I'm out of here. They're in the middle of the lake. And the other 2 are like, well, no, we're not ready to go. He goes, well, we haven't caught none. I'm ready to go. So he decided to jump out and swim the shore. How many men are left in the boat?
2.
Are you sure?
I think so.
One decides to jump out. You say 2's left. Mm-hmm. There's 3 in the boat. You want to know why there's 3 in the boat?
Why?
Because he decided. He didn't put any action behind it. And that's where we are right now. We are deciding that it's time for change. A decision means nothing without action.
Yes.
Here we go again. Faith without works is dead. So we got to get to work. And it starts with the dialogue.
Action.
It starts with the dialogue. And there's 3 things here that I wrote down.
Give them to us.
Go ahead.
Give us those 3 things.
You got to identify and define what is the basic truths. I mean, all the elements. What is this? What is this George Floyd situation? What is it? Is it death by cop? Is it the fact that he allegedly was committing a counterfeit crime and it cost him his life? What is it? Let's put it all on the table. What choices are we making that puts us in a precarious situation where someone else can determine our fate? Let's put it down. Let's talk about all of it. Let's get rid of all the hidden secrets. Let's talk about all of it. Let's talk about why the unemployment for African Americans are so high. Why? Because you can't leave weed alone. We're looking for firefighters right now, and we have to go through 1,000 people to get a class of 50 because they can't pass a drug test. Wow. Really? That's a problem. So what choices are we making that's keeping us out of the systemic ladder of success? The second thing is we got to break down the problem. I just talked about the somatic tree, right? Understanding the tree trunk and the branches before you get into the leaves. The leaves are the details. The George Floyd's death and the Wakita Board's death and Laquan McDonald, those are the details. But until we actually realize what's in the trunk and the roots, we can't necessarily understand what's going on. There's nothing for them to hold on to. If we get to the roots, those trees gonna die. When you take the death by cop out, which is the leaf, stay with me, that's just the details, that's just the stuff you see. But when you get to the fact of the Commander Burgess, that has systemically for decades made people confess to something they didn't do. And then when you get to those brothers and those sisters that's in this uniform that knows the injustice, but look the other way because of the cold blue silence, that's the trunk. That's the root. When you get to these people that, like the dirty cops, the Pac-Mans in the 15th district where they were shaking down drug dealers and they were actually telling on the good citizens, who called, that's the root. That's the community policing part that has failed. When you get to the root and the trunk part of that we can make non-existent. Yeah. But you gotta see what you believe. You have to see that Amazon is going to be $1 trillion company, and they make nothing. They deliver other people's goods. Why? And they're about to be $1 trillion. They manufacture nothing. Nothing. Well, right now we're manufacturing nothing. So let's take a page out of Amazon's book and figure out a way to deliver some love in this hateful situation. Let's figure out a way to value life, and let's start with our own. We could also talk about all the black on black crime that's happening. I tell you that there's about 12 people shot. There's a young man laying in the street right now. He was when I left the 911 center. He's at 47th Street, laying in the street with a bullet in his chest, dead on the scene. Enough, people. What is that for? We're fighting over territory we don't even own. You're fighting over something that you don't even own. And you're going back to grandma's house because you don't even pay rent. You're living off of someone else. Let's change our mind, brother. Yes. Let's change our mind. So break down the problem. And then let's create solutions from scratch. That's the third one. We got to think differently. We got to get out of the herd mentality. What do I mean by that? We follow the herd. You know, that herd that when Jesus cast that demon out and it ran into the herd and they went off the cliff. Yeah. We got to get out of that herd mentality. And we got to realize that there's one head on our shoulder. So who should be using it?
We should.
What I look like having Willie use my head and it's on my shoulder. Right. Why would you let me control your head and it's on your shoulders? You got to own your life. When we own our life, we can't blame nobody because we know where we're going. You know, I started with the fire department. There was no women. The brothers didn't want me there. They figured I should be in the kitchen pregnant, barefoot. I didn't care about what they thought. Didn't care about what they thought. I knew that they, for the most part, the racism, they weren't hiring my husband. My husband was a man of God that feared only God. And he said, listen, young lady, I support whatever you want to do. We'll be married 32 years in July. He says, he says, it is easier for you to fulfill your dreams in this society than me to fulfill mine, because they consider you the lesser, weaker vessel, and they can manipulate you. But a woman dingo can understand it don't matter who brings the money home, long as it gets in the house, long as you respect your head and continue to encourage that mandingo, because that's where our families are tied up. Claudine messed up a bunch of people. Goldie messed up a bunch of people. So that's part of that trunk and that root issue. We got to get out of that. We got to turn off our TVs. If I had my way, brother, I tell you what, I would have all our cell phones turned in. We don't need them. There's doing nothing but keeping up with us. That keeps up more junk than anything. Facebook has caused more deaths than I can account for.
Wow.
People saying this, that, and the other about whatever. Get rid of all those phones. Get back to the phone in the house. Get back to eating dinner at the table where you can find out what's going on with your kids. Get back to the fact of we have so many clothes, we don't have enough room in the house for them. Enough of that nonsense. When I had one pair of shoes, I was humble. When I had to put plastic in them to keep my feet from getting wet, it was a great thing. Getting back to the basis of what the family meant is where we were. We owned our life then. Mama told us what we weren't going to have. Don't bring it in her house. Daddy wasn't there, but she realized that you was not going to disrespect Daddy, although he wasn't there. I don't remember a day in the house, a night that my father was in the house. But I will always honor and respect him, God rest his soul, because he gave me life. That's Mama's doing. That's a man dingo and a woman dingo understanding what's happening here. But right now, unfortunately, there's been seeds dropped than they were planted. And I mean in kids. A man plants his seed. He don't drop it for the birds to come get it. So that's another show. But however, I get it, brother. We got to identify our problems, break down those problems, and then we got to find some solutions from scratch. Be like Elon Musk. Create something that was never there and have people tell you, man, you nuts. 2 people just went to space, right?
Yep.
They spent $1 million each to get there. So he's not so crazy after all, is he?
Absolutely not.
Not so crazy after all. So we got to do something different.
This is amazing. I'm seeing that Facebook is enjoying this just as much as I am. Wow. The leaves are the roots. The leaves are the details.
The leaves are the details. That's that's the fluff.
Terry
You got to
Khan
get to the roots and
revelation.
Yeah.
Terry Khan got that. Thank you for joining us. Sharina had a valid question, and Sharina, and for the rest of y'all, because that was one of my questions, but I think we've had that question answered already. I'm listening, and it's a valid question, and we're getting answers like crazy. How, as a community, how do we heal and move forward? We kind of got that answer already, but I want to hear a little bit more.
Okay.
How do we heal and how do we move forward?
We got to get out of our house. We got to get out of our comfort zone. We got to get out there on the street because that's where the kids are. And we got to find out what's going on with them. As I said, when I went for Alderman, I went out here and I talked to the guys. There was a group of people selling drugs on the corner. And they were trying to figure out what's our angle. I'm walking with my little cart, with my little with my pamphlets and stuff in my hand. And I'm like, guys, what's going on? I tell them, I introduce myself, tell them I'm running for Alderman. I said, sir, if I came to get you and told you to go see this person for a job, could you pass the drug test? They said, well, not right now. I said, well, take this opportunity to clean up. Clean out, dry your system up, because I'm coming for you. As soon as I'm elected, I'm coming for you, because what we have to do is heal in a manner of not judging, but bringing them over to the other side. So how do we heal? We got to get to the table and talk about what's needed. But that table starts at our own kitchen table. We got people in the house not talking to each other. We have people calling each other's names that's not their name. We're so angry. I don't like the N word. I don't like a lot. You can't use it around me. I don't use profanity. I don't want to hear it. It's time for us to raise our level of expectation of life. How do we heal? It starts with self-healing. As we said earlier, hurt people, and heal people, people. Get back in those forms of what's needed. One person reach one, everyone will be reached. One person reach one, everyone will be reached. We need to get some economics. I just told you, $3 trillion. We spend $3 trillion annually. They say there's no money in the Black community, but everybody and their mama got a place here. So there's money here. We just need to learn to recirculate it amongst ourselves. If we hold those dollars, I guarantee you they'll hear us. Stop shopping. COVID has basically confined us, quarantined us. We're not saving. We're not shopping money. I guarantee you everybody that's on this particular thread today have saved more money than they ever have because they can't go out there and spend.
Yep.
So what has that taught you? What has that taught you? That taught you that you can do it. You don't need all that stuff. That's materialistic stuff. That's what poor people do, spend their money on stuff. Another thing I'm going to suggest that we do, that say I'm in the 29th ward. What ward are you in?
I don't even know what ward this is.
Just give me your two cross streets.
24, I'm sorry.
Okay, $24 a month. Set it aside for upward mobility. I don't know who we're going to get, who I'm going to give it to. $24 a month, and you get everyone in your ward to do the same thing. Now, somebody's got to calculate. I want you to do this simple math problem. This is about to blow your mind.
Come on.
$24 a month times 12 months. There is about 100,000 voters in every ward. I'm just going to talk about Black folks right now. $24 times 24 times 12. Multiply that.
That's 288.
That's 288 times 100,000 people.
I hear you.
2.8 million?
28 million.
28 million.
Yeah.
Okay, now say the commitment is a 5-year commitment times 5.
$144 million.
$144 million that just you in the 24th ward has done. Now watch this.
Wow.
The 24th ward, the 27th ward, the 28th ward, the 29th ward are all Black times 4. $500 million. $500 million. Now that's just $20-something. That's a 2-pack of cigarettes for people that smoke. That's they 20-pack and whatever they do on a pizza on a Friday. It's for upward mobility. Now these kids that say they don't have a shot for education, how many kids did we just send to college with that money right there?
Yeah.
You understand? Now that's just Black folks on $20-something a month. That's the kind of vision that we heal with. You don't need no job, because with $500 million, guess what? Willie Taylor Ministries can open up some form of plant to hire whoever you need. It's going to have to be ex-offenders because the majority of us have a record. That's how we heal. We come together and we bring our pennies, our $24, $28, $29, $27, and we realize that, listen, this ain't working. This ain't working. Albert Einstein says the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing over and over and over and expect a different result. Forget the alderman. Yeah. All right, so it's time for us to own our life, brother. How do we heal? Because when people are making money and feeling good about themselves, you know how you feel when you put some clean drawers on and a new outfit?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how them kids feel. That's why they out here looting, because they want some clean clothes and some shoes. But imagine what will happen if you earn your money and you pay for that. Yeah. Man, come on. All these abandoned buildings, the banks are ready to give them away. But these non-for-profits records are so bad, they can't turn them over to them because they can't justify, the ends can't justify the means. The banks are willing to give these properties away because they want the tax write-off. but we are not in a position to receive them. Have you looked around lately? You know how many Latinos I have on my block right now?
I haven't noticed.
Okay, well, next time you go out, you find out how many people moving in the 24th ward. Because
Okay.
I have 3 on my block right now. Imagine that. They see something we don't. See what you believe and not believe what you see, brother. That's how we heal. We take our lives back.
Wow, wow, wow. Sharina says she remembers you told her years ago that she was an eagle. Never let anyone tell you or make you feel like you're a pigeon.
That's it. Eagles are a dominant bird. You know, they could do some damage to you. But they say, why waste a small fry? Why waste my energy on a small fry? It reminds me to say we major in minor things. We need to major in major things. And right now, the major thing we have is life, is the preservation of life. Because we are leaving our kids out for the slaughter. Out for the slaughter. Was there another question?
I have 2 questions and we're done. And you can answer them both together. Number 1, African Americans are angry. Do we have a right, considering all that you've shared with us tonight, which was absolutely profound? First question is, do we really have a right to be as angry as we are? And secondly, will we, the African American community, see justice concerning the George Floyd murder?
We absolutely, positively have a right to be angry. But we have what's called a fiduciary duty to channel it for change.
Wow.
We cannot put that on someone else. We have to channel that, use that energy to just move some stuff. You know, when the adrenaline gets to rushing,
Yeah.
and people can turn over cars, they find that supernatural strength they didn't know they had.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of channeling that anger needs to be channeled through. If you don't let it out, pressure will bust a pipe. Now, will we get justice? Everybody on this thread that believes will get justice. And not just ICE. If you take the word justice and split it up, it's just ICE. We've been getting just ICE. It's time for us to get some justice here. I can tell you right now that in this uniform, I've been arrested. I stood for what was right, and I had one of my subordinates disciplined. He was Caucasian, and he wanted to teach the Black BITCH a lesson. That's the phrase that was used. And what he did was falsified a record with his brother, who was a Chicago police officer. Right. And they put fictitious charges in the system right at Kedzie and Harrison. And at this house right here, they came and rang my bell and took me to jail and charged me with a felony. Now, here I stand before you. I had the means to fight. Imagine the people that are locked up that didn't have the means to fight. Now, what's sad about the story I just told you, that happened in 2012. I have written to the IG. I have written to my internal affairs. I have written to Mayor Emanuel and got disciplined for contacting him, talking about corruption. I've been waiting almost 8 years and don't have justice for the false arrest, for someone retaliating on me, making him do his job. But I share that not out of anger. I share that because I understand time and vengeance belongs to God. I will continue to put this uniform on, go to work, and serve the public. And when that day comes, and it's coming, he will have to atone for those actions. That's the type of resolve we must have with the George Floyd, the Laquan McDonald, and every other situation. Racism isn't new, it's just being recorded.
It's just being recorded. It's
just being captured. Hatred isn't new, it's just being expressed. This anger we're feeling right now is not new. We're just learning to let it out. Now, what I've asked is for everyone under the sound of my voice, please try to channel it in a peaceful manner, because that's what it's going to take. When the cooler heads prevail, we're going to get together on a Zoom or whatever. I hope this is not your last or only presentation, because people need to realize that people are listening. Some folks just want to be listened to. They just want to get it out. They don't necessarily want a resolve. They just want to get it out. And that's what's happening here. You know, everything happens for a reason, Brother Taylor. And I'm just seeking God and asking him, Lord, what is it that you would have us to do here? Because things must be different. And the answer that he already gave me is, what you waiting for? What you waiting for?
The phrase that I hear is, be the change that you want to see.
That's it. Be the change that you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
Because you got the influence, you've got the platform. Make it happen. Make it happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, shucks, I've been doing self-checkout for a while now, and all of my shows are good. But tonight was really something else. Self-checkout. This is my interactive web series where we take an honest look at what's in our hearts, minds, and spirits. And tonight, what I've heard were so many lessons. I've heard lessons, and so many of the things that you have shared have caused me, even as you were talking, like, to really, really take a look at myself.
Yes.
And that's what this show is about. We need to take a look within ourselves. And just like I just said, be the change that you want to see. What are we waiting for? Start it yourself. Do it. You do it. Carmelita Earls, you are some kind of amazing. And people, if you all don't know, Carmelita and I, we've been knowing each other for years. I mean,
as kids.
Yeah, since I was a kid, we've been knowing one another. And the person that you see, this is always who she was. And I'm very, very proud of you. And I would like to thank you so very much for what you do for our city, what you do for our communities. Thank you for that. Thank you for being on self-checkout. And y'all know my motto. Yes, John Stennis, she is a true general. She is. That's for sure. John says you are a general, and that he also says that this is the best episode that I've had to date. Well, thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to serve. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. My motto is plant, build, and dominate. And you all can see this is proof of what my motto is. Planting, building, and dominating. Carmelita Earls has done just that. 29 years, the 29th year Deputy District Chief of the Chicago Fire Department. Man, listen, I'm over my time. I'm 7 minutes over. Carmelita, give us something. Give us something to lay down with tonight.
Well, listen, I give you the fact that when you get up from this presentation and broadcast, I want you to go find a mirror and go make a George Floyd affirmation and say that, my brother, I will do everything in my power. Every breath I have will be to make sure that no one else has to go through what you went through. And if you make that affirmation, if it's nothing more than seeing someone treat someone else bad, you can stop it before it escalates. I pay homage to the young lady who had the courage to keep her phone running, keep her phone recording, and brought this to the forefront. I pray that God gives this nation peace. And most of all, I pray for our mayor. We got something special in Mayor Lori Lightfoot, folks, whether you know it or not. That's a small piece of leather well put together, and we need to get behind her. Not make her look bad. This is her watch. And I guarantee you, if we give her the strength by making sure that we be the intercessors and the disruptors for violence, she's going to change some stuff. You got my word on that. So look in the mirror, make the affirmation that you will speak up. I believe Reverend Al Sharpton said it best. He said, Rosa Parks gave him the vision to, if you cannot stand something, speak out. If you can't speak out, stand up. And if you can't stand up, get a seat and sit in the way. Be a disruptor however it takes. Look in the mirror, and that person that you're looking back at, that's looking back at you, they're going to help you do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Carmelita Earls. My God, what a show. What a show. I would like to thank you all for watching tonight. Please, if you will, if you don't mind, share this video. You know you want to. If you haven't done so, please do that. Share this video. I don't even know what else to say tonight because I'm done. I'm blown away by the knowledge that I have received tonight. Carmelita, you are truly, I agree with John Stennis, you are truly a general. And from my heart, I thank you so very much for taking our time to stop by self-checkout tonight. I appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Before the year is out even, please come back.
Anytime you say.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. Thank you, Carmelita, for joining. I want you all to have a good night, and please take an honest look at what's in your heart, your mind, and your spirit. I'm Pastor Will. This has been Self Checkout. We're signing off. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.